All right. So these are initial reactions for the Bucks and the Nets game 7. Last game of the series. The series was tied 3-3. And so, that's what I think, right? My first thought is that Kevin Durant is the best player in today's NBA. The best, not just in today's NBA, today in the NBA, Kevin Durant is the best player. Yeah, worded that better. KD is the best player today because of multiple reasons. One, he just balled out against, the healthiest team in the NBA right now with the Bucks who, they have one player out, which is DiVincenzo. But aside from that, he balled out. He had a phenomenal Hall of Fame worthy type of game where he's dropped 50 with pretty much no one. Harden, I think Harden was hurt or he wasn't there. Kyrie obviously out, so it was pretty much just him, right? It was him the entire time. In game 6, he played okay, not as good as before, but he still played really good. And then game 7, this dude dropped about 50 points. Went into double overtime. He got them to overtime by hitting a crazy fadeaway almost 3-point shot. That's what KD did. And just the way he plays, you can really tell you have a really clutch player by if you're having the mindset of, okay, we have this player, we're gonna win, right? Look at Dame, Steph, Luca, LeBron. Those are some of the few players that you can really think, okay, we have this player, so we have a chance to win the game. And Kevin Durant is probably on the top of that list because this dude, he's unstoppable. He's unguardable. PJ Tucker, he did the best on him, but he still got buckets on PJ Tucker. Giannis didn't even guard him. Chris Middleton still can't guard him. Drew Holiday, he still can't stop him. KD is the most, we always talk about Shaq, right? Shaq being the most dominant player, MDP, that we've ever seen. And yes, that is true. He's probably the most dominant player you've ever seen. But in today's NBA, Kevin Durant is the most dominant player because who can stop him, right? Especially since he's, passing the ball more. He's not just a scorer. He is the best scorer in today's NBA. We have players like Harden, Luca, Steph, Bradley Beal, Trey, Jason Tatum, Booker. They can all score, right? They can all score a bunch of points. But if you're talking about the best, the purest, the most creative scorer, someone, if you could tell him, okay, give him the ball and that's guaranteed bucket, that's probably Kevin Durant. Most of the time, that's probably Kevin Durant. He's probably the most dominant player in today's NBA. Think about it. 6'11", 6'10", right? 6'10" or 6'11". He could shoot from anywhere. He could shoot from, from 3, from any part of the 3-point line, from the deep 3, which is like, Steph type of range. He can score from the post, from isolation, pull up mid range. He can do it in the pick and roll, whether he's the ball handler or the roller. And he has a handle. He can dribble. People talk about, oh, if Giannis had a shot, he'd be the greatest player alive. If Ben Simmons had a shot, he'd be LeBron 2.0. Well, hello, you have Kevin Durant, who's pretty much, Giannis with a shot. Not just with a shot, but with a handle. Kevin Durant is the most unstoppable player in today's NBA. That's my first thought. That's the first thing I realized this series and this game. Second thing I realized is that availability is really the greatest ability. I'm not going to tell you why. The Nets, by far, they're the most talented team in the playoffs and in the entire NBA. They have the most talent. They have Kevin Durant, who's, like I just said, the best player in the NBA today. You have James Harden, who's, the probably the best player, the probably the best offensive player in the entire NBA's history. He's a type of player who can score from anywhere and who can dish out assists. He's a type of player who's more likely to get 40 and 10 than to get 20 and 5. That's what Harden is. He averaged 37, I believe. 37 one year, his MVP year. Like, that doesn't make sense. And even when he was in the Nets, he was probably the best. He's probably playing the position of point guard the best we've ever seen. Someone who can score and someone who can distribute the ball. He did it better than Steph, because Steph doesn't really play make like that. He did it better than Dame, who does play make like that, but he doesn't have the passing skill or the passing vision like James Harden does. And LeBron, Harden can shoot. LeBron, he can shoot good, but Harden's a better shooter and scorer. So offensively, Harden's one of the best, right? You have KD and Harden, and then you have Kyrie Irving as your third option, right? Kyrie, we all know, he has the best handles in the entire NBA. That's who Kyrie is. And now you have him as your third option. And not only that, you picked up Blake Griffin off the buyout market. And then you picked up LaMarcus Aldridge. But then you also have role players like Bruce Brown. You have Joe Harris, Landry Shamet, Nick Claxton, Jeff Green. The list goes on and on. They have the most talented roster in the entire NBA. And there's no question about it. The Lakers, no. The Bucks, nope. Sixers, nope. Hawks. Who else is there? Clippers. None of those teams have as much talent. No, they might be as good as them, but as much talent? The Nets have the most talent in the entire NBA. But with that being said, you can't just have talent, right? Look at the Golden State Warriors when they lost to the Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals. That was the most talented team in NBA history, right? Steph, greatest shooter alive. Klay Thompson, best 3-and-D player, probably second best shooter alive. Kevin Durant, one or the second or first best player. And you have Draymond Green, who's one of the best defenders in NBA history. That's who they had. But then what happened? They got hurt. Klay got hurt. KD got hurt. And what happens? They became unavailable. So what did I just say? Availability is the best ability. That's why AD, as good, as great, as talented as AD is, Anthony Davis, as great as he is, he gets hurt a lot. That's why that's why you can't always count on him. And yes, it is unfortunate that the Nets had so many injuries, with Kyrie with his nasty ankle sprain, with Harden with his hamstring injuries. KD had to carry the entire team, and that's why he's the best player today, because he had to carry the Nets. So that's why the Bucks, even though they had to go to Game 7, they needed all their players. They needed Giannis to play good. They needed Middleton there. They needed Drew Holiday. They needed Brook Lopez. They needed PJ Tucker too. And if they didn't have them, they would have lost. But since they were the more healthier team, they won. That's why availability is the greatest ability. My third thought is that for Giannis, it's all a mindset thing. It's all, and it's a game plan thing. Because he can be, he can be Shaq-like. Not because he's stronger than everyone, he can just dominate everyone, but because he can be so dominant by just being in the paint. He doesn't need to shoot threes. He doesn't need to shoot mid-ranges. He just needs to, just go to his strengths, which is being faster than big men and being stronger than guards and being taller pretty much than everyone else. And he has the wingspan and, pretty much the length to get anywhere on the court where he wants to. If he does that, who's guarding him? Blake Griffin, he did a good job because, Blake Griffin is strong. But and since that's the reason why Blake Griffin was playing good defense on him, Giannis kept shooting threes. He kept shooting mid-range, post fadeaways, and that's 100% a dub for the Nets. If Giannis doesn't take anything in the paint, if he doesn't score in the paint, that's a dub because Giannis can't shoot at all. I mean, he could shoot better than like Ben Simmons, but he can't shoot. He's not a good shooter, even from his free throws. The Nets crowd clowned Giannis every time he shot free throws. They would do a countdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Giannis could be so dominant, but because of today's NBA and where, the 3-point shot is such at a high value right now, he feels the need, okay, I gotta shoot threes. I gotta shoot to expand my game. But that's different from Ben Simmons, right? Because Ben Simmons, you have a score. You already have other scorers. So, yes, he does. Ben Simmons, that's all. Let me say that for another episode. But with Giannis, he could be the most dominant player in today's NBA. He could be the most dominant inside player, paint player, interior player. He could be the most dominant one. But he just needs to realize that, why do I have to shoot threes when I can just score? I can either get a layup, get a dunk, or get fouled every time I go to the paint. If I shoot, I'm most likely going to miss. Whether it be 3-point or mid-range, I'm going to miss. So what's an easier way to shoot? Free throws. No one's guarding the free throws. So that's an easier way for him to to shoot the ball, I guess. But so Giannis, he can be so good. Like I've said this so many times. Giannis can be so good if he can just realize that I just need to go in the paint because there's no one that can guard him. Now for the next series, whether it be the Hawks or the Sixers, I wonder who's gonna guard him. Most likely it'll be, I'm assuming, Capella, because Capella is pretty much guarding Joel Embiid. If it's the Hawks, I doubt Collins, he can't guard him. They're probably going to throw Collins, Capella, and Gallinari at Giannis. But for the Sixers, I doubt they're going to have Joel Embiid guard him. They'll probably have Ben Simmons on him, to be honest. Because, who else can guard him aside from Simmons? And they're pretty much canceling out each other because they both can't, shoot at all. Shoot free throws, mid-range, threes, none of that. So I'm pretty sure they're going to guard each other. So that's the third thought that I had, is that Giannis could be so dominant if he just really just kept it simple. Just keep it simple, dude. You don't have to do too much. You don't have to be skilled to be a good player. If you know what your strengths are and you play into your strengths, hello. Was Shaq the most skilled player? Was he? I don't think so. But was he the most dominant center? Yeah. Was Wilt skilled? Was Tim Duncan super skilled? You don't have to be skilled like all them. The reason why they're so skilled is because they're not as athletic, as strong, as fast, and can't jump as high as you. They don't have the God-given abilities or the God-given, abilities and I guess length and the athletic strengths that you have. That's why they need to have so much skill. But if you have, if you're 7 foot and can dribble and you can run hella fast and jump hella high, think about it. The reason why the Bucks won the games that they won was because Giannis stopped shooting the damn ball. stop shooting the ball. Anything else that I learned? Yeah, Blake Griffin, he still has it. He was just playing with the Pistons. He didn't really want to be in Detroit, but now that he's in a winning situation, he's playing his ass off. I mean, he was making threes. He was guarding Giannis really good. He was, he was playing as a great role player. No one would have thought that Blake Griffin would have played like that if you just looked at his career with the Pistons. He definitely did not play like that at all. Another role player for the Nets, Bruce Brown. Who the hell? Bruce Brown. Let me give you background. Bruce Brown. He's played for, I believe, 3 different teams. He played with the Pistons. I remember that. I forgot. I think he played with other teams, but Bruce Brown was more of like a rotation guy, more like a guy who's a bench warmer low key. But this dude just played 50 plus minutes in a game 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Props to Bruce Brown. That dude is 6'3" at the most. I'm being generous. 6'3" or 6'2". He's hella small in height, but he plays like he's 7 foot. This dude grabs so many rebounds, tips out so many rebounds. He can do hook shots or like floaters, whatever you call them. He plays so hard. And that's okay. Bruce Brown is the role player of the year. Bruce Brown's the role player of the year because he does so many of the little things that you don't realize what he's doing, that you don't realize that don't come up in the box score. He grabs so many rebounds. He keeps so many plays alive. He plays hella good defense, whoever it may be, especially on point guards because he's small, and he's strong, so he can low-key box up like bigger dudes. And so Bruce Brown, his stock is going up. Same with Blake Griffin. Their stocks are going up. They're gonna, and my fourth thought, or my fifth, whatever, how many other realizations I have. But I don't know how the Nets are gonna keep all of their key players. They have to find a way to keep KD, who I think is getting paid, like 30 plus million a year. Harden, who's getting paid, like 30 plus million a year. Kyrie, who's getting paid like 20 to 25 plus million a year. Blake Griffin, who just got bought out, so that means he needs to get another contract. And you got to pay Bruce Brown, who's probably going to want to get paid. Joe Harris. Those are pretty much like their real key players. So I don't know how they're going to try to keep all of them. I have no idea. They have to find a way to keep all of them. Maybe, Kyrie or whoever takes pay cuts, and maybe Blake Griffin comes back for a vet minimum. But I have no idea how they're going to keep all their players. So let me stop talking about the Nets, all right? Let's look at the Bucks. I already talked about Giannis, but PJ Tucker, that dude he does a lot for the Bucks. You know that? He does a lot for the Bucks. And yes, you might think, oh, it's so simple. He just, plays defense and shoots corner threes. Well, yeah, he does. If you're a casual, you think that. But he literally played the best defense he could on the best scorer alive in Kevin Durant. Yes, KD dropped 50 2 times, but look at this. Think about this. KD is the best scorer in NBA history. He's 6'11". He can shoot from anywhere, and he can dribble around you. He can shoot over you, right? PJ Tucker, he's 6'6", is a 6'6" forward, power forward. But he's making a lot of his shots tough, and he's making it hard for KD to get the ball. Yes, no one can stop star players. That's why they're superstar players. Like Kawhi when Kawhi was guarding LeBron, or when Iguodala was guarding LeBron in the finals. That's why they won Finals MVP, because they made it tough for LeBron to score and to get the ball and to get stuff done. That's what PJ Tucker was doing. Yeah, KD, he drops. No one can guard KD. But who did the best job on him? Who made it tough for him to score and to get the ball? It was PJ Tucker. And that dude, he he played his butt off. He played his heart out. So I have to give props to PJ Tucker. Brooke Lopez almost sold the bag because he pulled off a J.R. Smith and decided to pass out when there's 2 seconds left in the shot clock. Like, and they're up by 2. Like, bruh. He didn't even get a shot off. Brooke Lopez, he was selling, but he did make up for his mistakes in overtime by grabbing some clutch rebounds. Chris Middleton. Okay, so Chris Middleton, this is what I think about Chris Middleton. I think he's one of the better scorers in the NBA, and not in terms of points per game or he's just getting points, but and how he's getting points. He's one of the better shot makers, if that makes sense. You know, Harden, I don't know if he was one of the better like scorers. Like, he is one of the better scorers, but I wouldn't consider him a scorer. What I consider scorers are like Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Brandon Ingram, DeMar DeRozan, even probably like Joel Embiid. You know, players who don't just put up points, because anyone can put up points. Like, look at what's his name? Westbrook. Westbrook can put up like 30 points, but is he a scorer? Nah. Harden, or Middleton, I consider Middleton one of those type of scorers who he knows how to score. It's just he's very inconsistent at making his shots. That makes sense. Because him and KD were both shooting the same type of shots, but the difference is that KD was making them. It's that simple. If Middleton is making his shots, then I mean, who can stop him? Because he's probably if we go into the next series, if the Bucks play, the Hawks or if the Bucks play the Hawks or the Sixers, I mean, who's a better scorer than him? Like, better at getting a shot off than him? I don't know. But also Drew Holiday. He played horribly, but he made a lot of key buckets in the fourth quarter to get, to basically keep the Bucks alive. So that just points out that, you don't have to play good the entire game. It's good to play good the entire game, but if you make key buckets down the stretch when it's crunch time, then that's pretty much all that matters, to be honest. Because look at Kobe in Game 7 against the Celtics. He played, if you look at his numbers, he played horribly. He shot terribly. But what do? He grabbed like 17 rebounds and he made clutch shots. Now, I'm not saying I'm not saying that Drew Holiday is Kobe. I'm not saying that at all. No one is Kobe aside from like Michael Jordan. But he was making, key shots down the stretch. So, those are all my thoughts. It was such a good game. When KD made that shot, I was screaming so loud. I don't know if the neighbors heard me or not, or, I mean, whatever. If they did, they did. But the Bucks, they'll be playing either the Sixers or the Hawks. And I think Game 7 of the Hawks and Sixers game is going to be tomorrow. So, I was rooting for the Sixers. I'm still going to root for the Sixers because of other reasons that, I'll just mention in another episode. But in a review episode of that series. So, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you subscribe and give me a like. And, I don't know what it does, to be honest, but, it helps knowing that people appreciate, I wouldn't say appreciate the stuff I do, but just, I guess it's cool just, when people acknowledge that, wow, this dude really knows his stuff and he is not afraid to show it off to whoever, to complete strangers. And so it's pretty cool. So, yeah. Make sure to subscribe and like and follow on my social medias. They are in the description and in my about page on YouTube. So thank you guys for listening. I'll see you later.